Hello everyone, welcome to Manika IAS. I welcome you all to the daily news analysis session of Manika IAS. But before we begin, I would like to wish you all a very happy Makar Sankranti, a very happy Pongal, a very happy Uttarayan, a very happy Khichdi, and a very happy Bihu festival. So these are the name by which we know Makar Sankranti in the various part of India. Say, for example, in the states of Punjab and Haryana, we call it Maghi. In the states of Gujarat and Rajasthan, we call it Uttarayan, which is celebrated as a kite festival. And people generally eat til and good on this particular day. And then in South, we call it as a Pong. We celebrate another festival as a Pongal. And in Northeast, we have Bihu. So this is the diversity that India is celebrating today, and the day mark the journey of north, a journey of sun from south to north. So this is a very auspicious day. It also marks the beginning of the harvesting season and the dawn of the winter season. So this is why we celebrate this day and wish you all a very happy new year ahead. Now let's start a daily news analysis. See, the very first topic, let's see which are the topic that we're going to take today. The first topic is speaker decisions in Maharashtra. So, although this is a very political issue, but the basic concepts which are there, the basics question which are being asked in the Supreme Court, and the decision that has been taken are very much related to polity. So that's why we'll discuss this particular topic. Then we have quantum computers, the relevance of quantum computers in present times, and then regulation of Indian online gaming industries. So these are the three topics that we'll be discussing today, but let us start with the very first topic today. So the first topic is speaker decisions of Maharashtra. So before we actually begin, I need you to know the little background of the case. See what happened. It started in 2019. In 2019, there were elections for state legislative assembly in Maharashtra. Okay. Now, during those elections, there were two major sides. One was your BJP along with Shiv Sena, and the another was NCP, National Communist Party, along with INC. When the results came out, the vote share was such that BJP won 105 seats, whereas the Shiv Sena won 55 seats. So total they had 160 seats, whereas NCP and INC had 99 seats in total. As a result of which, the uh, state of Maharashtra Legislative Assembly is of 288 seats. So, as we all know, to make any government, one has to have an absolute majority. So, the required majority is 145 out of 288. So, uh, this coalition government of BJP and Shiv Sena clearly had the majority of with 160 seats. However, the issue started with the power sharing. Now, Shiv Sena was demanding a 50% power sharing, and they also wanted Uddhav Thackeray to be the CM for like 2.5 years. But the Devendra Fadnavis led BJP denied that, and they said we do not agree to the 50-50 power sharing arrangement. As a result of which, you know, the governor at that time asked the asked the majority party to make, that means BJP, to make the government. Then they asked Shiv Sena to make a government, but none of them was able to make an independent government. As a result of which, Shiv Sena approached the NCP and INC, and they together make a party, and they together make Uddhav Thackeray at the CM, and the government led by Uddhav Thackeray came into place in 2019. So there was another individual who is the current CM of Maharashtra, Mr. Eknath Shinde. He was also a part of Shiv Sena. Now, what did he do? He demanded many times that Shiv Sena should join the BJP back again. However, it was in 2022 when after many appeals, the Uddhav Thackeray didn't listen to him, so he decided to go against the party whip. What happened when there was elections in Rajya Sabha for the seats in the Rajya Sabha as well as for state legislative councils of the Maharashtra. So some members of Shiv Sena voted against the whip issued by the political party, that was political party led by your Uddhav Thackeray, and they voted in favor of BJP, which was the anti-government at that time, because they both separated, right? And they form a post-election alliance with INC and NCB, right? So at that time, Mr. Shinde claimed that he had a support of 40 MLAs. Now, this is another point that is that is important for you to remember with respect to your preliminary examination or your mains examination in general. So, Shiv Sena has 55 members. Now, if Eknath Shinde has a trust of 40 members, then as per the 10th schedule of Indian Constitution, if a party, if two-third member of of the political party merge with another party, right? Now this doesn't amount to disqualification. So the two-third comes out to be 37. 37 members. Okay. Now they clearly had the majority with which they will be able to bypass the disqualification. So they asked governor, the Shinde faction approached the governor and they said that we have the majority and you please ask the Uddhav Thackeray led government to prove its vote. Now, uh, at that time, your governor of the state, they asked Mr. Uddhav Thackeray to present a trust vote. Now, at this point of time, the Thackeray-led government approached the Supreme Court. However, Supreme Court denied to, put a stay on the trust vote. Okay. Now, as a result of which, Uddhav Thackeray resigned, and he didn't face the trust vote. Then the opportunity came to Uddhav Thackeray-led government. They were able to form the government, and as a to the Eknath Shinde faction, and they were able to form a government. And at present, your CM is Eknath Shinde. Now, the entire matter was sub judice, as a result of which, in 2023, that is last year, when Supreme Court delivered its judgment, it said that the decision of the governor at that time to call for a trust vote was illegal. However, they will not be able to reinstate the Uddhav Thackeray-led government because he didn't face the trust vote, he resigned. So ideally, his resignation was not illegal, it was illegal. Have it been the case that he would have faced the trust vote and he would have lost, then Supreme Court would have been able to reinstate the government. But since they denied, since they didn't face the trust vote, so he will not be able to. The Supreme Court will not be able to reinstate the government. The second thing that they said was, the second matter which was in front of Supreme Court was, and it is here we are referring to Subhash Desai case. This case is known as Subhash Desai case. Now, they also said that the Supreme Court also came up with the judgment that the decision on the qualification, until and unless extraordinary circumstances prevail, it is not sub judice to Supreme Court. It is up to the Speaker to take a decision on the matter of disqualification under 10th schedule. Okay, so this has to be decided by the Speaker, which is currently the decision that we will be discussing. That whether you think that the member have, they have been disqualification, the rules apply to them or not. Now the thing is, third, they said there is an issue with respect to whip, because as we discussed, there was two whip being issued. One was by the Uddhav Thackeray and another was Eknath Shinde. Now they went against the whip of the political party leader, right? Now, if you know, under 10 schedule, this also amount to disqualification if you do not follow the whip of the political party. So Eknath Shinde government presented before the court that it is the legislative whip, that is the whip of Eknath Shinde, which which also accounts for it. However, the Supreme Court said no, it is the whip of the political parties that to be mandated, because if you are saying that your whip of the legislative party, that is the party led by Eknath Shinde, is valid, that means you are inherently saying that you can, take away the character of the federal character. You can take away the character of the political party, that you can dissociate with it. So this is not how it works. So Supreme Court denied. So these were the three things which were highlighted by the Supreme Court in that particular judgment. Okay. Now another thing was, the Uddhav Thackeray government, they went before the then deputy speaker, because by that time there was no speaker at that time. They went to the deputy speaker and they called for a disqualification against these members of the Eknath Shinde government. Okay, they said they called for disqualification. However, after the Eknath Shinde faction came into being, they appointed Rahul Narvekar as the speaker of the legislative assembly, which was also put into question. However, Supreme Court has not referred anything with respect to this particular aspect. This is still sub judice. The another matter was, this was in a separate case, not in this with respect to this petition. This was a separate petition. Was that the election commission gave a symbol of bow and arrow and also the title of Shiv Sena to the faction which was led by Eknath Shinde, taking away the name from this particular faction which was led by Uddhav Thackeray. Now, this was also taken to the courts. Okay. However, now this was the matter in front of Speaker. So, this article is particularly referring to the two decisions that the Speaker had to take, was to determine if the breakaway group of Shiv Sena MLAs led by Eknath Shinde, they voluntarily gave up the party membership and voted against the party whip that we discussed, leading to disqualification under 10th schedule or not. Okay. Second was anti-defection law consider voluntary. It's saying that the anti-defection law, that is your 10th schedule, they consider the voluntary giving up party membership or voting against the party whip as defection. Now there is another thing which says that if two-third of the member, they go and merge with the other party, but here the merger didn't happen. It was a clear split. It was not a merger. However, if you see the 10th schedule, the provision with respect to split was removed, and the only is left with respect to merger, that if two-third party went and merged to the other one. However, the merger in this scenario has not happened. Okay. So these are the fundamental questions that need to be answered. These are also highlighted in this particular uh, article. Let's read. It's a attempt to prevent disqualification. Shinde group had secret meetings. Now, why they are saying that they attempt this led to a disqualification? So these are the substantial facts. Although these are very political narratives that you need not remember, but you should know how will it amount to disqualification or not, because that is a part of your syllabus under 10th schedule in polity. Okay. So Shinde group had secret meetings and they did not attend party meetings and formed an alliance with an opposition. ठीक है. Speaker Narvekar had to decide if Shinde actions could be treated as voluntarily giving up of the membership or not. Okay. So these are the fundamental questions. Now, uh, these are again the same thing of voluntary giving up. Now the thing is flawed judgment and misinterpretation. How do you see the speaker judgment? The speaker judgment attempted to avoid disqualification but was flawed by omission. As we discussed, the split provision was omitted in 2023 and you only left with the merger provision. Okay. So the speaker determined a decision of the real Shiv Sena. That means the whether it is the Eknath Shinde faction which is the real Shiv Sena or it is Uddhav Thackeray faction. Now the article is saying this is beyond the jurisdiction of the speaker. This is a matter which has to be dealt by election commission only. And it cannot be dealt by your speaker. So it is saying this particular question that the speaker right now is dealing with is beyond his jurisdiction. This doesn't fall into the jurisdiction of the speaker. Okay. These are the two fundamental questions which were there. Now let's see. The 10th schedule does not require the speaker to decide this question. As we discussed, the speaker declaration contradicts the Supreme Court findings in the Subhash Desai judgment, as we discussed the judgment with respect to whip. Okay. Now judiciary say the speaker decision contradicts with the Supreme Court. Subhash Desai judgment clarifies that Uddhav Thackeray led Shiv Sena is the original political party because it said it is the Political party led by Uddhav Thackeray, which will be whose whip will be valid. That's why it is establishing the fact. However, it is not clear. These are the opinion of the speaker of the editorial. This is not respectfully the court cases, but the opinions. But you need to understand the nuances of it. That's why it is important. And alone can issue a whip, and the Shinde group incurred disqualification under 10th schedule. So it is saying that they were it is legitimate to call them disqualify them under 10 schedule. However, we still have to see for the decision of the speaker. Now let's move to the next topic, which is your quantum computing. See, information technology presently plays a big role in our lives. We all know we are surrounded by gadgets, be it mobile phones, be it screens, be it any sorts of electronic devices. We are surrounded by the IT. Okay, so traditional will understand the fundamentals of these computers and quantum computers. See, what are computers? Computers, the smallest fundamental unit of a computer is a bit, which is represented as 0 or 1. Okay, so this is the fundamental unit of a computer. Okay, so and then there are gates. Gates are the circuits that change the states of the bits, determining a computer speed. Okay, so if these are your inputs, so it can be 0, it can be 1, these are the gates, and whatever input you are putting, according to that they are delivering either 0 or 1. So these are the form in which a computer operates, in which you give command and you receive an input and output. So these circuits are referred to as gates. Okay, now the usage of semiconductors. So presently in our computer system we have been using semiconductors. The use of semiconductors has enabled the storage of terabytes in our computers. Okay, so that is one thing. And what they want to highlight here is, to make a semiconductor chip it needs an enormous amount of transmitters, and the billion of transmitter it needs. Okay, now if you are you using the transmitter, the lesser the size of the transmitter, the lesser the gap between it, the chances of quantum computing increases in that. What does that mean? That means quantum computing means, see, it also refers to the most basic unit is your qubit only, which also operate in 0 and 1. However, in quantum computers, they can exist simultaneously. So if your gaps between the transmitter will increase, if the size of the transmitter will decrease, then there is a tendency that the both of them will exist together in multiple forms. Say for example 0 1, so you will have many combinations here and there. Otherwise in normal computers it will stay like 0 or 1. So this is what it meant to be. Okay. Now this basically this thing is called as superimposition, which is the limitation of conventional computing. And as a result of this superimposition, what happens? The speed of the quantum computer increases and they perform better. Okay, this was the context behind the computing, conventional computing, and the quantum computers. Now let's see the regulating India's online gaming industry. So this article is particularly speaking about how to what are the issues behind the regulation of online industries, why do we need to regulate it, and what can be done. Okay, so it is saying, if you see the internet usage in India, internet usage, almost 692 million people in India are using internet. Okay, which is making India as the world's second largest internet user. Obviously we have population also, so it is referring to population as well. Now India ranked 8th globally in terms of time spent on the mobile apps. Okay, and average daily mobile app usage has increased to 4.9 hours, which is a 32% increase per 2019. Most of it is related to COVID related increase, because after pandemic what has happened is our life has shifted online, like we are taking these classes. This is again consumption of screen time, more increase of social media. Okay, so that is why post COVID, since the work space has moved to internet, your school space has moved to internet, your office space has moved to internet, that is why the internet usage has increased and your screen time has also increased. Now, 82% of our usage is dedicated to media and entertainment, and out of which 50% is related to social media. Okay. So this is with respect to your internet usage in India, how many people are using internet and where now this became a very big market for India, economically as well as socially. Now, if you see in this online gaming industry is predominantly a startup ecosystem is growing at 27%, and it is widely estimated that AI and online gaming can add up to $300 billion to India's GDP by 2026-2027. That means 2026 से 2027 तक आने वाले 3-4 साल के अंदर online gaming industry or AI will make contribute to $300 billion of Indian economy. This is the potential expectations as per its growing rate today. Now, since this is going to be that huge a market, that is a need that you need to regulate this market. Okay. Now, if you see what are the issues arising out of the usage of this much amount of uh, internet and this online industry, it is a very addicting addiction, mental illness, suicides, financial fraud, privacy, and data security concerns. Since this is going to be this bigger market, people are going to invest their money also, and people are going to be dependent on this also. So the level of uncertainty in the gaming thing is one which is related to mental illness, addiction, suicides, financial frauds, privacy, and data security breaches. So these became a concern. Now money laundering is another which is related to Indian security. That is why money laundering and national security concerns. Okay. Now this situation is exacerbated by growth of illegal offshore gambling and betting markets, addiction, money laundering, national security, and these things are even worsened by growth of illegal offshore gambling and betting markets. Okay. Now, in July 2023, Parliamentary Standing Committee also released a report in which they identify four major trends in cybercrime, and one includes use of international online betting sites. That you are using these sites for money laundering, for escaping your illegally earned money. So, money laundering for those is who doesn't know means that you are changing your form of illegal earned money, that you earn money illegally and you come bring it to India in a legal form, that you somehow get some illegal money through any sort of illegal activity and you use it in the mobile betting apps and you bring it as a legal source, you make it appear as if it is coming from a legal source, and controlling these markets is another challenge. So money laundering is a bigger internal security threat. It is also a separate topic in your GS paper 3, internal security. So there also you can add this dimension. Now another thing is 373 million gamers are there in India who are at risk, and that is why the vulnerability, you have to prevent the vulnerability as well of the sector. So these are three, points that it is not good for internal security. People are getting addicted to it. It's also a threat for mental illness. It also is using for money laundering, and there are people who have that data privacy issues, and then 373 gamers who are potentially at the risk. So you need to prevent the vulnerable sector as well. Okay. Now why this is so, there is so much of issues, it due to there is an insufficient regulation, and estimates also indicate that India has lost $45 billion per annum in taxation due to operations of illegal offshore markets. Okay. Now, if you see what are the steps that have been taken, so some of the state government they decided to ban the gaming platforms. However, not all originate in India, and you have something which is originated in outside countries. So if they're not banned there, and people can use them also to to use them for their money laundering purposes. So how do you regulate the things which are not from your country? It is outside your jurisdiction. So that became an issue. The second thing is information technology intermediary guidelines digital media ethics code rules 2021 marked a commendable step. However, due to some issues with respect to the committees, it is on hold. There is a lack of implementation. Okay. So the challenges are you do not have mechanism that how you identify whether you have legitimate channels or illegitimate platforms. There is no mechanism. So if you form say X channel today, which is illegitimate, there can be a dupe also, which is illegitimate. So you they are the you literally cannot identify that. Second thing is the absence of a specialized regulatory authority, which leads to inadequate enforcement. Since you do not have a specialized agency who is responsible for the enforcement, and you do not have specialized member inside it, so you lack the capabilities to enforce the regulations also. Okay. Then if you see the global perspective, UK, they have a centralized government regulator for online gaming. Now that is what we are referring to. As we are referring in India, we do not have a dedicated personnel to look after it. We can learn from the example of UK, who have a dedicated personnel for it. And then they deliver quarterly report, fines for the operator violating player protection requirements. Now you have to have strict enforcement and harm reduction efforts. And these all in UK has resulted to a decline in disordered gaming. Okay. Now what is the importance of strict regulatory framework? An unregulated market may not deliver the greatest benefit. High taxes and weak regulatory enforcement create fertile ground for a shadow economy. Like if your taxes are high, people tend to do tax evasion. If any economy taxes are high, the tendency of people to not pay taxes increases. If you lower down the tax rate, the tendency of people paying the taxes will increase. People are more willing to pay taxes. That is why if you have high taxes, tax evasion will increase. The At least their urge to evade tax increases, and then you have unregulated market. People tend to avoid exploit the loopholes, and this began a ground for a shadow economy. Shadow economy is a parallel economy, an illegal economy which is running alongside the your mainstream economy. Okay, so that is why you need to have specific guidelines in place. There is an urgent requirement for the specific guidelines, and you need to have a person, a dedicated enforcement mechanism, a dedicated enforcement machinery to safeguard national interest as well as your youth. So that was it for today, and if you have any question, you may please ask in the comment section below. Thank you. Have a nice day.